Blog Talk Radio.
It's Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Once again, it's time for the most intriguing talk radio on the internet today. This is Sasquatch Radio. Breaking news and information from around the world. Interviews with men and women investigating the mystery. The latest high-tech equipment. Cutting-edge research techniques. And amazing discoveries. Real-life people sharing real-life encounters. The director and founder of Sasquatch, Washington, Virginia. Here is your host, Billy Willard. Something is out there in the dark, watching, waiting. It's time to unleash the beast. This is Sasquatch Radio.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, March 22nd, 2010. I am your host, Billy Willard, and please welcome my co-host, Mr. Mike Killen up in New York. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing just fine, Billy. How are you?
Doing just fine. I don't know about up there, but the weather here is a whole lot better. No more jackets.
Yeah, well, we had beautiful weather the last pretty much better part of a week, but it's going to turn colder, that's for sure. Now it's going back to where it should be. But we got spoiled. We had May weather in March. We had 71, 72 degrees over the weekend, and not supposed to see that till like mid-May. So that's a little taste of what's to come. But now it's back where it should be this time of the year up here in New York. It's down in the 50s. It's in the 50s, and a lot of rain today, and a lot of rain right now, and it's supposed to go down to probably back into the 40s towards the end of the week. They're talking like Thursday, Friday, and the weekend, but back in the 40s. So, yeah, just a little tease of what's to come in spring. It's not quite that time of the year to be at 70s every day here.
Yeah, it's. I rode the bike over the weekend. It was so warm. Went and checked out a few areas, the areas and everything, and so.
Nice.
Just a second.
So you were able to take the bike and check out a research area. So you're combining two of your favorite hobbies combined together. You can't beat that.
Hey, you can't beat it. That's for sure.
Can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, we had a lot of the rain and storms today too. We had quite a bit of thunder and lightning today, so that wasn't no fun. But anyway, before we bring our guest on, we'd like to again mention that the 22nd Annual Bigfoot Conference and Expo is coming up, everyone. It's coming up May 14th through the 16th, 2010. Of course, that's over in Salt Fork State Park over in Ohio. The guests this year will be Mr. Bob Gimlin, Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, Larry Lund, Tom Yamarone, and John Horrigan. So we've got a nice lineup of speakers coming. The actual conference itself is on May 15th, which is a Saturday. Starts at 4 p.m. in the afternoon and usually ends somewhere around 10 o'clock. So it's just a one-day conference. But the day before, Friday, typically they have a meet and greet. That's where you can arrive on Friday and maybe get the chance to do a little bit more one-on-one talking with some of these guests. And that's always fun. I always advise if you can get there on the Friday, it's a really good time to do that. And then, of course, on Sunday, typically they come up with another activity. Typically, it's either a little trip around the park to show you some of the sighting areas and that kind of thing. So we'll keep that in mind as well. So anyway, let's see. If anyone wants more information, you can go to www.eobic.net and click on the 22nd Annual Bigfoot Conference link, and you can get all the information for lodging and all that good stuff. So anything I left out, Mike?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. It's going to be a great conference, but I hope the folks that are planning on going, I hope they've already gotten a room, and if not, then they definitely want to reserve a room soon, because from what I understand, they were going very fast, and that was a couple of weeks ago. So I don't even know how much room they might have left. But folks, if you're even thinking of going, you better grab yourself a room there, because I'm sure they're down to getting down to the nitty gritty over there at the lodge, I'm sure, as far as what's left for the rooms.
That is for sure. So, all right. Well, we're not without further ado. We're going to make sure we get our guests on here. Everyone, tonight we're going to have Mr. Rob Bozzuto, and he can tell me if I pronounced his name right, and Mr. Torrey Chadwick. We're going to bring them on the show. Both of these fellows have done some research down in the Loon Lake area. By the way, this is over in Idaho. Of course, if anyone's ever heard of Loon Lake, there's been a history of Bigfoot sightings and things in that area since the 1970s. So we're going to bring them on the show tonight, and they're going to talk to us a little bit and tell us about what they're doing. First of all, we'll start off with Rob. How are you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm doing great.
All right, Rob. And tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of got you started in this mess, and just kind of introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, I've had an interest in it since I was pretty young, maybe like middle school.
Okay.
We're in that area, junior high. So I've always had an interest in it. Didn't start researching it until about maybe 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago. So I didn't start researching it right away, but and I've lived in Idaho, I don't know, not all my life, but I've lived here probably 33 years.
Okay.
And so I haven't always lived in the Boise area. Lived in the Haley area for a while.
Right.
And just kind of grew up here.
Okay. All right. I assume it's a pretty nice area?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice.
And how about you, Torrey? Have you been there for a while? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 36 years old, and kind of like Rob, I've been interested in the Bigfoot phenomenon since I was pretty much a teenager. I used to go to high school. Back in junior high, I used to go to before school started, I used to go in the library and just most people looked at other books. I just looked up Bigfoot, and I found it fascinating about how it lived in the mountains and it kept quiet, kept it itself from being noticed from other people unless unless people are were out hiking and stumbled onto it, and it's like a needle in a haystack, like winning the lottery. If you see it, it's big. It's really, really big. So that's how I got interested in it, and that's how I really met Rob, because I used to look on the websites and read them. And when I was married, my ex-wife's uncle, he used to be a carpenter in McCall, and he talked to a few people in McCall that claim they've seen Bigfoot. And so I stumbled on the website and told them about myself and what my in-laws have told me and everything like that. And then that's how Rob got in touch with me. And me and Rob have just been looking into it and searching for it and just been talking about it and sharing information with each other about it. So that's pretty much about me.
Now, you've been researching for how long, Torrey?
Actually, not really researching, just reading up on it and everything like that. Not really researching, just reading up on it. And I'm just a huge believer in it because I'm not a skeptic, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, personally, I'm 36 years old. I've done a lot of camping in my lifetime. I've never seen a grizzly bear up close, but I can't truly say they don't exist because, of course, they exist. Kind of like UFOs. If you say to me, do you believe in UFOs? Have you ever seen one? No, I'll probably never seen one, but do I believe in them? Yes. Do I believe in Bigfoot? Yes. Have I ever seen one? No. But do I be a skeptic about it? No, I'm not, because I can't prove that it doesn't exist.
Right. Now, how about you, Rob? Have you had a sighting?
No, I haven't had any sighting up close. Just some weird happenings. Couple of different times. This time last summer, it was last June, and then I went on a BFRO outing in 2008 and met Bob Gimlin and had a chance to visit with him and had some interesting things happen out there as well. It's out near Natchez, Washington.
Right. Yeah, that's I tell you what, that's a beautiful area.
Yeah, that's nice out there.
That is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing out there.
Now, Mike, before I go on, have you had any questions as of at this point?
I did not see any, but let me just.
Okay.
I just was PMing with somebody. Let me just take a second and scroll all the way to the bottom here.
Just so that everyone knows, we're going to have Rob and Torrey on here until 10:30. So if anyone has any questions for them at all, you've probably got the call-in number, and that number is 347-237-5070. I'll give that out again for anybody that's writing it down. Call-in number is 347-237-5070. So feel free to call in and ask either Rob or Torrey a question. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. Now, I think it was Torrey. Torrey, you said that that you guys have some details, and you know, details are great, and we would like to hear any good information y'all have found. Now, both of you, I guess, have been in this Loon Lake area, correct?
Well, Rob's been up there a couple of times, but I only went up once, and we took a Saturday, me and Rob, and we took a day trip up there. Yeah, the details don't come into place until towards the end of our story. I'm gonna let Rob tell the story, but what happened to us was really, really fascinating. It really, really was.
All right, go for it, Rob.
Well, we arrived in the Loon Lake area in the afternoon, and it's a fairly isolated area. We're maybe 2.5 hours outside of McCall, and you travel down a one-lane road at that point once you leave town. So it's a fairly secluded area. There's a few campers scattered here and there, but it's really a secluded area. And we began our hike on our way to Loon Lake sometime in the afternoon. And I always felt like Loon Lake had a certain mystique to it. There's an area where there's plane wreckage over by the lake, and there's a plane that crashed there in the 40s, late 40s, and those guys were in service and everything, and they had to hike out of there. And this is like in January, like in the middle of winter. And so we went to the lake. It was fine at the lake, didn't have anything going on there. I'd been there before by myself, and it felt like I'd been being watched.
Mm-hmm.
One time I was on my bike, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything, didn't have anything weird happen, just had this eerie feeling I was being watched. But we went to the lake, got some water, talked to there were some people camping right by the lake over where we were. They gave us some water. We were there for maybe an hour and a half, somewhere in there, and we proceeded to leave. That's where it got interesting. We were maybe an hour away from the lake, and because this is like a 3-hour hike, we're maybe 45 minutes to an hour away from the lake, and there's a place where it forks. It goes through 3 trails, and we accidentally instead of taking a right like we should have, we took a left,
mm-hmm.
and we proceeded to go and do a different draw than where we started. And I said to Torrey, did we go the right way? Sure we didn't take take a wrong turn back there, and because I'd been there a few times by myself, and then it didn't look familiar to me, and I was like, man, I think we're on the wrong trail. And they have several footbridges, and the bridges all look different to me than they had before. And so we're proceeding down the trail, and we ran into a mountain biker, and we asked him where the head of the trail was, and, you know, this and that. He said, well, it's up here, you know. He didn't give an exact amount, but he said, you guys got a ways to go, he said. But he said, you'll make it. That's what he said to us. And that was the last person we saw. So we kept on down the trail. You know, pretty soon, you know, a couple hours later or whatever, we get to the head of the trail, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this for sure is not the right trail because, one, the car's not here, and then it went to another wider trail, which was an ATV trail.
Right.
So I'm saying to I said, Tori, I'm like, I know this isn't the trail, and then I'm thinking, oh, what do we do now? So we kept thinking, well, it's going to come up to the main road eventually. So we proceeded down this ATV trail. Well, as soon as we started down this ATV trail, we heard, or Tori said he heard it too, but off to the left of the trail, we heard exactly what sounded like a siren. And Tori turned to me and he said, "Do you hear that?" I said, "Yeah, I heard that, but I can't." You know, I was just kind of like shaking my head. I couldn't even believe I heard it. And so, you know, by now it was getting dark. It was maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. So we proceeded down the trail a little farther, and I said to Tori, I said, you know, we better turn back. And, you know, because I felt we didn't have flashlights or anything, right. So I felt by then that if we're going to end up staying out there, that we should at least pick a good spot and bed down for the night and continue on in the morning.
Right.
And so that's what we did. We turned back and went back up towards the head of the trail, up where the ATV trail began. And we headed back the other way. And we went back down the smaller trail, a short ways, slightly down the hill, and began. I had some matches in my bag, so we just kind of started to bed down, and we wanted to gather some some firewood for a fire, and so we just began doing that, and just began making our camp for the night, and we're sitting there, we had our fire going, we had some water, we were just trying to get comfortable. I figured I wasn't going to get much sleep, but, you know, what the heck, make the best of it. And I was laying on my backpack, and I looked to my left, and I saw what I thought looked like, it looked like a yellow light, two small yellow lights down close to the ground, maybe 8 to 10 inches off the ground. Mm-hmm. And they were small and round, and they weren't real bright. They were real dim yellow color.
Right.
And it was kind of like they're pulsating. They would slowly come on, and then they kind of slowly fade out. And man, that happened for, gosh, I don't know, that was there for at least a couple of hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least.
2.5 hours. And it was maybe, I don't know, 20 yards from us. And so by then, I'm just sitting back, just kind of watching the show, just trying to take it all in. Mm-hmm. And so we're just, you know, sitting there chatting. we never did go over and check out what that was. We didn't have any flashlights. I wish had I had a flashlight, I would shine it over there in a second. But we never did go over there and check. The only time I did go check was the next morning, and I didn't see any tracks or any sign of any movement in that area.
Right.
But then I would say, later on in the night, things progressing. I tried to get some sleep. I really couldn't get much sleep. Every time, I'd close my eyes. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see something big, hulking, watching over me. And that's all I could think about, even though we hadn't heard anything yet. But, getting that image out of my head, it just wasn't happening.
Right.
And I was kind of tending the fire, putting wood in and stuff, and I looked to my left, and something big, bright, and red flashed. And it had caught my eye, and I looked to my left, and it had to be, I don't know how big. Whatever it was, this figure, it was at least, probably, I'm just guessing, 7.5, 8 feet tall, just flashed fast. And I just looked at it, and I'm like, oh, my God. I couldn't even believe I saw that. And as quick as I looked at it, it was gone. It flashed on and it flashed off. It was that fast. And so, and at that point, Tori was turned around. So at that point, Tori didn't see that. But that just kind of, when I saw that, that just kind of blew me away.
Right.
And I was pretty floored because I'd never seen anything like that before. And, the whole night, I felt like I couldn't figure out if we were being watched or if we were being stalked or what, but, I could hear some slight movements in the grass. Mm-hmm. Didn't really hear any twigs snapping. I don't know if you did or not.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is Tori. Yeah, he's pinpointing on exactly what happened. It was funny because when we got off the trail, the one that we took the wrong turn on, we got onto the all-terrain trail, and by that time the sun was pretty much going down, but we still had visibility, we still had sunlight. And I said to Rob, I said, because let me prepare you. We were not expecting an overnight stay. I was dressed in a tank top with a backpack, sandwich, chips, and a couple bottles of water. And he brought some bottled water and some sandwich stuff and like that, but we didn't bring any tents, no sleeping bags, no flashlights, because we were only expecting to go up there for, just to see Loon Lake and then come back to Boise. So we didn't have any sweaters or anything like that. And thank God during July it was hotter than, it was like 90 degrees up there. So during the nighttime, when it got dark, it really didn't get down really that low, but it was chilly enough to where we had to start a fire. But I said to Rob, I said, we got to get out of here. We can't stay overnight. We're not prepared for it. And he was like, yeah, well, I guess we can just keep following this all-terrain trail and see where it comes out at, because obviously we're on the wrong trail.
Right.
We were both dog-tired because we've been hiking for like 4 or 5 hours because, like Rob said, Loon Lake's a deep, isolated lake in McCall. And it takes a good 4 hours just to get there because you're going up and down hills, and we made good time because we got there right around I want to say 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish. We BS a lot with a couple of campers that were people that were staying there, and they had this purified pump that pumped out water out of the lake, and I gotta tell you that was delicious because it was cold water, and that's exactly what we needed. But it was right around 4:30 when we decided we had to head back. And we knew it was going to take a few hours to get back to the car, considering how long it took us to get up there. So we decided we'd start running, and we were running, and we were trying to make good time. And we got off the wrong trail on this other trail, and it just did not look familiar. But we had to keep going. And so, like Rob said, we ran into this biker, and we asked him, how much longer the campsite? And he goes, well, this trail, you got a ways till this trail ends, and then you got this all-terrain trail you're going to go on to, and then you got quite a ways away before you get to the campsite. And we were like, great, so we're going for a little bit more of a hike than we thought.
Right.
So we got on, we were hiking this trail, and for me, I, for one, noticed that it just was not the trail that we were on in the beginning, and I figured there's something not right here, and we're kind of screwed, so we might as well just keep hiking, try and make good time, and try and get out of here because we weren't prepared to stay the night. So we get off our trail and onto this all-terrain trail, and I told Rob, I said, we got to get out of here. I mean, we just cannot stay here the night. And he was like, well, let's just keep going. And by that time, it was getting dark, and I was a little nervous. I was nervous and stressed out because, like I said, we're not prepared for the night's sleep.
Right.
And as I got further ahead of Rob, because he started slowing down because he started getting tired, and I started slowing down. I started heading down this trail, and I just got this unnerving feeling like we have to be out of there. I mean, we're not in an area where we should be. And I stopped, and I waited for Rob, and he was a ways back. I looked to my right, it was pretty far into the woods. I saw something jump over a log, and I kid you not, it wasn't a deer or an elk, because it looked like it had brown or black fur, but I saw just 2 legs. And if it were a bear, I would have seen 4 legs. But it was quite a ways in there, but I still had visibility where I could see inside. But it was thick forest, dense forest, and it was just unreal because I looked in there and I saw 2 legs jump over a log. And I'm like, what in God's heck's name was that? And by that time, Rob caught up with me, and he said to me, he goes, what's up? I'm like, something just jumped over a log in there, and it was on 2 legs. He goes, you're kidding me? I'm like, no, it wasn't a deer and elk because it didn't have that tan fur that deer and elk have. It had black or brown fur. And I said, yeah, I just saw 2 legs. And if it were a bear, I'm sure I would have seen all 4 legs, but I just saw 2. And we just sat there, and I said, what do you want to do? And it's getting dark, and we don't know where the campground is, where the car is at. He goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. I think we ought to just head back and retrace our steps. So we started back up to where this other trail was, towards Loon Lake. And we were just walking. I was just telling Rob, I'm like, I was nervous, and I was stressed out because, like I said, we weren't prepared for an overnight stay.
Right.
And we had very little water, we had no food, and we were not prepared for it, dressing wise, tank tops and all that stuff. But thank God it wasn't that cold. So it took us a good half an hour, 45 minutes to get back up to the trail that we ended on onto the all-terrain trail. And we got back up there, and by that time it was fairly well dark, and it was fairly well pitch dark, and we could barely see the trail. And so I told Rob, I said, I'll just go ahead and start hiking, and I don't know what I told him. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, and we were just going down this trail, and we could barely see the trail, but we saw it. And luckily for our luck, that night we had no moon. We had no lighting at all. It was pitch dark. So we started down this trail, and I was just nervous as hell. And we were going down this trail, and I looked back at Rob, and he was on his knees, and I'm like, what's up? And he goes, I'll tell you the truth, Tori, I'm dog tired. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah, I don't think we can go any further. Even if we started back down this trail to where we took the wrong turn, we're never going to find out where we took the wrong turn at. And I'm like, well, we can't stay up here all night long. He goes, I understand that, but what are we supposed to do? It's pitch dark. I'm tired. And I'm like, well, God dang it, at least let's go up to that all-terrain trail and at least stay up there. And by this time, it was, no flashlights and nothing. It was pitch dark. So I'm stumbling on rocks on this trail, barely seeing it. Rob's probably about 10, 15, 20 feet behind me. And I was hiking up. I kept on yelling, Rob, are you still there? You still there? And he was like, yeah, I'm still here. And I finally stopped, nervous as hell, can't believe we're up there unprepared like this. And Rob caught up with me, and I said, I guess if we're going to have to stay out here, we're going to have to stay out here. But what are we going to do? And so right in front of the guy, right there on the trail, we just started our backpacks off, and we just laid there on the trail. And by that time, I was a nervous wreck because we're in the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, pitch dark, and we don't know where the car is. But it was unreal. And the minute we sat down and we just started looking up at the sky, and we were just sitting there BSing, and that's when Rob noticed those flashing things. And I looked up and like, what in God's name is that? And he goes, I don't know, that is weird. So we laid there, and we didn't know what time it was. We had no idea what time it was at all. As far as we know, it was 10 o'clock. It could have been midnight or 1 o'clock. I mean, it was pitch dark. And we were just laying there, and it was starting to get chilly. And like I said, we were both I was in a tank top, Rob was in a T-shirt, and we were both in shorts. And it wasn't getting quite chilly yet, but you could feel it coming on because the sun was down and it was getting chilly. So we were laying there, and I said to Rob, I said, are you going to be able to sleep tonight? Because I'm not going to be able to sleep a wink. And Rob was like, I don't know, I'll see if I can try to sleep a little bit. And we laid there, and time went on and on. And finally, I said to Rob, I said, you know something, I am shivering. It's getting pretty goddamn chilly. And he goes, well, I got some matches, and we pine needles, and of course it was pitch dark. I was scrubbing around for pieces of wood, some branches I broke, and we started a little fire, and we just sat there, and we just waiting for time to go by so the sun would come up, because like I said, we had no idea what time it was. Suddenly, out of clear blue, I heard shuffling in the bushes, and I looked to my left, and I looked at Rob, and I said, did you hear that? And he goes, yeah, I heard that. And I'm like, well, obviously we're not alone. I tell you the truth, I was looking up and down the trail to see if I could see any eye shine or something approaching the fire or something like that. Wow. Something like that. But nothing like that happened. But we could hear shuffling in the bushes, like something was there with us, but it didn't look like it didn't want to approach us, and it didn't feel like we were a threat to it. And I was already a nervous wreck. I was trying to keep the fire going, to keep some heat, to keep us warm enough. And suddenly Rob, out of clear blue, said, did you see that? And I was already nervous, and I was just, looking off in the distance and around our territory. And I said, see what? What'd you see? And he goes, I just saw something. And I'm like, no way. And he was like, yeah, I just saw something over by a big rock up there. And he said, but it's gone. And I'm like, huh. So we kept the fire going until the sun wasn't even up yet, until the stars were going away, and we were laying there. And Rob told me that the stars are going away. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? I mean, I'm not an expert on stars. He goes, it means it's going to be getting light soon. And I was like, oh, cool. So I didn't even want to wait or hesitate. So the minute it started getting not even sunlight, but visibility to where we could actually see the trail, we got our backpacks on, and we started up to that all-terrain trail, and we hiked a good hour or so before the sun started coming up, and I was guessing it was probably right around, I want to say 4:35-ish when we left where we were staying, and right around 6 o'clock in the morning, I could tell Rob was really dog-tired because he was trailing me big time, but I wanted to get the heck out of there. I mean, I wanted to get the heck out of there badly. So my mistake was I kind of got ahead of him, and I could hear something off in the back, off in the distance, and it sounded like kids playing. And from a distance, that's what it sounded like. And I came across this bridge with the river was going underneath it, and as I was crossing the bridge, it didn't really sound like kids anymore, but it did. And Rob caught up with me, and I said to him, I said, do you hear that? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, does that sound like kids? He goes, what would kids be doing playing at this early in the morning? I'm like, that is weird. So as we got further up, it really didn't sound like kids. It sounded like it was only, I want to say, yards, maybe 20, 30 yards away down the river, but in the woods off to our left. And it was a god-awful call. I've never heard it before. And I stopped. I was ahead of Rob, and I kept on stopping, and I'm like, what is that? I've never heard anything like that before. And bottom line is that we hiked another 2 hours before we got to our campsite. Before we got to another campsite, because we were 10 miles off the campsite where we had the car at. Right. And when we got down to this campsite, there was a guy, and as far as I was concerned, because like I said, we had no watch, we had no clock or anything like that, I didn't know what time it was. As far as I was concerned, it was 9 or 10 in the morning. Right. And so when I got to this camper, bear in mind my hands were numb because we were up all night, and my hands were numb, starving, very thirsty, and I could barely had any feeling in my hands. And I walked up to this camper and I knocked on it, and no one was answering, so I wasn't sure if anybody was home or what. I went up to the trail, and my mistake was I got way ahead of Rob, way ahead of him, and I guess I shouldn't have, but I was eager as hell, eager to get out of there and find the car. And I went up further up the trail, and I was calling Rob's name out, and he wasn't responding. And I ran back down the trail, and I was taking my hand and swinging it back and forth, hit on the door because, like I said, they were numb as hell. And finally, this guy opened the door, and I told him the situation. He got on his motorcycle, and he went up looking for Rob. I didn't tell him what happened to us because, I didn't want him to sit there and laugh. Well, God knows what it was. We didn't mention a word to the people that helped us out, but he gave us breakfast and all like that, and he took us 10 miles up the road to where our car was parked at. And he says, "Do you realize you're 10 miles off to where your campsite was?" And we both laughed, and we were like, "No, we didn't," because we explained to him how we took the wrong trail.
Right.
But it was an experience.
I tell you what, it can get rather spooky when you get turned around, and it's easy to do. It's real easy to do, especially if you're not carrying a compass or anything, GPS or whatever. It's real easy to get turned around. You'll assume that you're going in the right direction, and you're not.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. It was one night that. It's funny because we got a week after it happened. Me and Rob, we've been talking about this ever since it happened. And a week after it happened, I got on the phone with Rob, and I just went over on what happened to us. And I told him I must have mentioned to him 20 times on what I saw in the woods. And I was like, it wasn't a deer and elk because I know what deer and elk fur look like. It was something on 2 feet, but I can't say it was a Bigfoot or a bear. I saw 2 legs. I didn't see 4 legs. I saw 2. But I looked and I looked and I looked. It hadn't moved. It was blending in the woods really good because when I saw it jump, I took a step into the woods just to see what I could see, and I saw nothing. So obviously whatever it was blending in with the woods, and it was standing completely freaking still for me not to see it. But when I was talking with Rob about it, I said to him, did you ever get an eerie feeling that we were being followed or like that? And he said, yeah. And I'm like, when? He goes, the minute we got on that all-terrain trail, I felt like we were being followed. I'm like, I've been camping many times, I've been hiking many times, but I've never got an eerie feeling that I was being watched or I've been followed. I don't know what it feels like. But when we were camping, he said that he had an eerie feeling that we were being watched. And I didn't get that eerie feeling. I was just trying to keep the fire going, but I must have told Rob 20 times, how do you get that feeling like you're being watched? Like you have eyes on you. And he was like, it's just a feeling that comes over you. I'm like, I didn't feel it, but I knew we weren't alone.
Right.
Oh, it was a night. It was a night worth talking about for a long time to come. I'll tell you that right.
One thing's for sure, you'll never forget it.
No. Oh no. I told Rob. I said I'll be talking about this for 10 years to come because it was a night where, like I said, we weren't expecting to stay overnight, but it happened, and I can almost bet my life. Whatever. I'm saying it was a Sasquatch because for one, we had a little bit of food, so it wasn't. I can almost guarantee it wasn't a bear because they would have somehow approached us in some way, but I wasn't really sure. And like I said, when Rob said, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "See what?" And he goes, "He just saw a glimpse of something." And weeks after this happened, I still have him describe to me what he saw. He said it had huge shoulders. It was standing by a rock. And it was just looking at us. And I said to him, do you think it felt threatened by us? He goes, no, I don't think it felt threatened. It was just observing us. That's all it was doing. But it was a night.
Trying to scare us off.
Let me get to Mike. Mike's probably got like a long list of questions or something. You got any questions in there, Mike?
Actually, we got a couple. We actually have 3. I thought, given the time, that might have been a few more, but we have 3 so far, and we do have. Well, the hand is not up anymore. We had the hand was up on 304 caller, but it's not up anymore. So I don't know.
Well, I'll grab it anyway. We'll see who we got. We'll see who we got on the line real quick before we take a question.
There. All right.
Okay, let me see who we got. Who we got at 304 area code?
Hi, it's me, Nancy, just calling in to listen.
All right, Nancy. No questions yet?
No, very interesting stories, though.
All right. We'll put you on there so you can keep listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
I love questions, by the way. I love them. I don't want anybody hesitating on any questions at all because, to tell you the truth, I'm not a skeptic. I'm a firm believer, and I don't tell phony stories. But what happened was pretty interesting. I'll tell you right now, and it's funny because I haven't told any family because I don't know who's going to believe, who's going to laugh, and who's just going to look at me and go, "You're just daydreaming." If you say so. I know what I saw. I know what I heard, and I've been out there camping many times. I've heard all wildlife, but what I heard that morning, it wasn't. I'll go down the list: deer, elk, bear, moose, caribou, mountain lion, raccoon, badger, wolverine, bird. Nothing was like that. Nothing sounded. Nothing I've ever heard before. It made me shake because I couldn't imagine what it was. And problem was, like I said, it sounded like 20 or 30 yards away down the river, but in the woods. And it sounded like it didn't sound like a communication call. It sounded like a warning call. You know, like they knew we were in the area. They sensed us. Maybe they smelled us. And bottom line is, keep away. And that's exactly what we did. We just headed down the trail. If we had any more time on our hands, I told Rob, I said, wouldn't it have been funny just go down there, just go try to get closer to where the sound was coming, just to see what it would have done. And yeah. he was like, it would have been fun, but nerve-wracking in the process.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, let me get the infamous Bill Green on the line from the 860 area code. How you doing there, Bill?
Oh, I'm doing great, Billy and Mike, and to the guests and stuff, and not much happening in Connecticut about Bigfoot so far. We're out in the woods a few weeks ago, but no sign yet. And so what's new up in Virginia?
Not a darn thing. Nothing going on. Sounds like Rob and Tori are having some excitement down in Idaho, though.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, have you guys heard of anything new Sasquatch activity or footprints by anybody that reported sightings to you guys lately, or?
Are you talking to us?
Yeah.
Well, to tell you the truth, not here in well, actually, right, yeah, believe it or not, it's on one of the websites. Two kids and their aunt were up in the higher hills up in Boise, because Boise's a city, and we got our foothills, and it leads off into the woods. Apparently two kids and their aunt were roaming around in the hills of up here above Boise, and they heard wood knocking. And apparently they listened to I think they listened to shows where Bigfoot communicated by wood knocking, and wood knocking is a way to tell people to stay away. And they heard wood knocking, and they told their aunt that it was Bigfoot's way of communicating, and apparently the aunt got scared and they ran back to the car. So I don't know what happened on that one, but that happened right above Boise, wood knocking.
Yeah.
But what's funny is something that happened before the incident in McCall with me and Rob. We decided to go on a little We decided to go on a little drive past the hills in Boise, past the ski resort called Bogus Basin, into the woods after midnight. And it took a good hour to a little over an hour to get there. And we decided to drive into the woods, and we just had the car off. We turned the car off, and it was silent. And we were hoping, maybe we'd hear something or something would happen. And my God, as we were sitting there, Rob heard it before I did, but it was off in the distance, wood knocking. And he said to me, he goes, shh, shh. And I'm like, what's up? And he goes, did you hear that? And I was like, what? And he goes, listen again. And my God, I heard it too. It sounded like it was off in the distance, but wood knocking. And it did it again for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then it just stopped. And it was getting late, and I said to Rob, I'm satisfied, because who in their right mind would be out here? It was 2 o'clock in the morning out here knocking on wood. It wasn't a woodpecker, because I know what a woodpecker sounds like, and it wasn't a woodpecker. It was a wood-on-wood knocking. And as we were coming out of the woods and heading back to Boise, I said to Rob, I know what that was, and I'm satisfied, but who would be out here at 2 o'clock in the morning knocking on wood?
Oh, yeah. Have you guys ever seen any possible films or photos of Idaho Sasquatches or?
None that I can see. I'll put Rob on the phone, and maybe he can share some info with you.
Yeah, Rob, have you ever seen any possible film footages or photos of Idaho Sasquatches that might be possible or?
Possible of existence.
Not possible. No, I mean a possible film footage of Idaho Sasquatch.
Film footage? I haven't seen any actual film footage because of he's such a what's the word I'm looking for? He's so reclusive, I guess. So he's not I'd love to get him on film, but there's like so few film footages of Sasquatch, not to mention so few pictures that, no, I haven't seen any.
Have you guys ever found have you guys ever found any footprints?
Let's see. They found some, I haven't found any in Idaho. When I went to that thing up by Natchez, there was 2 casts taken. That was in Washington. And that was quite the experience. One was down by Bumping Lake, which is right near there.
Uh-huh.
And then they had, because one night we were getting some hoots and stuff like that. Yeah. They got in a track cast that Saturday, too. Someone did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what's new up in upstate New York? Any rumors starting to come out of there and stuff like that? And,
I haven't heard anything that new, Bill. Like I said, we did get the one report, but that was an old report. But Chris and Chuck are going to be following up on that. But that's from like 30 years ago, so it's not anything recent.
Yeah. Well, Billy, I hope you go out this weekend to look for evidence or go to your sighting location areas, research areas, whatever, and find something. I know there's a lot happening up in Pennsylvania. Dang.
Yeah.
Active with
they're sighting hogs up there,
Dang, I just out in Fayetteville County there, it's just not every day, but I hear like every once in a while. I talked to Eric. Stan Gordon was on one of those shows last night, and he was talking about how it's like seems like every week they're getting reports up in Fayetteville County, and but we'll have to see what happens. But I gotta let you guys go because my cell phone minutes are going down. But I'll have a wonderful show, Billy, and I'll continue listening. I hope other people call in.
All right. Good night, Bill.
Bye.
Take care, Bill.
Bye.
All right, Mike. We'll let you get to some of the questions.
All right. Yeah, we got a couple here. Let's see. Henry had the first question, and Henry says, "Are Rob and Tori familiar with Don Monroe and his research in Idaho?"
Don Monroe?
Yep, Don Monroe. I guess
I've heard the name. I'm just trying to place him. I know I've heard the name, but I don't know if I know all about his research. If he's the same person I'm thinking of, he's in a real small town somewhere in Idaho, and I haven't talked to him or anything, so I don't know a lot about his research now. I don't know if Tori does or not.
Right.
No, I can't say that I have. No, I have not. Not at all. But if I may add something, and I truly have to say these creatures are, I want to say, far more intelligent than I think anybody gives them credit for. They're considering their size, their ability to stay hidden in the woods. They need the utmost respect from hunters, hikers, campers. I don't think they should be hunted. I think they not necessarily protected, but I think they need all more respect. They need every ounce of respect they can get from human beings that go out in the woods and enjoy the atmosphere of the woods and everything like that. Because from sightings I've read on websites, they can get very aggressive, and if they don't want you there, I know for a fact that they will do everything to get you away from them without physically harming you, like rock throwing, pounding, growling, you name it. But respect is one thing I think they need. And if you take the intelligence of a deer or elk or mountain lion or bear or cougar, you name it, these creatures' intelligence they surpass their intelligence. That's my opinion. Because you see deer all the time, but these things, my opinion, they need to be respected.
Yep. Yeah, they they're that word that you were looking for a while ago, Rob, was elusive. These things are elusive. I mean, they keep out of sight, and that. I mean,
well, my opinion is they don't want to be known. And if you run into one, it's going to be like it's a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. You go out there, you have an encounter one, enjoy it. But a lot of pictures that you see, they're blurry because my opinion is when someone's carrying a camera and they see it, it's gone, and all they're seeing is a blurry picture. That's why people are so skeptical about it. People always say, "Why aren't there good pictures out there?" Well, what are you expected to do? Pose and say cheese for you? That's what's one thing I said when I first met Rob. I was like, I don't know how people can be skeptical about these things when you take a picture of it. What do you expect it to do? Sit there and smile for you? It's going to be gone. It doesn't want to be noticed. If it's it's like when people go out in their little outings, in Oregon and California and other places. These Bigfoot research groups, they go out there and they put hidden cameras in trees. You're underestimating these creatures. They know when they're being watched. They know that they know you're there. They know you're there for a reason, and they know you got stuff there that's that's trying to get them noticeable. In my opinion, I don't know how many shows I've seen where people are putting camouflage cameras in trees, hiding them, putting food out. That's not going to do any good because they know you're there, and they know you're there for a reason.
All right, Mike, what else you got there?
All right, next question we had in the chat was from Mr. New York. Hey, Mr. New York, glad to see you with us again tonight. We got a question from him. It says, did they ever smell anything when they saw the yellow eyes 10 feet off the ground, or when they caught the quick flash of something? I guess when you caught the glimpse of something. When you saw the
this is Torrey. I'll give you Rob here in a second. No, there was no breeze, no nothing like that. I didn't smell a darn thing. I just knew that we weren't alone. But no, by smelling them, no, never smelled a thing.
All right.
No, I don't remember ever smelling anything other than feeling like we were being watched. I didn't have any sensation of smelling anything or catching a smell or anything like that. So.
All right. All right. You got any more questions, Mike? Y'all bear with me. I'm looking for. I got an email from one of our listeners over in England, and I'd like to read that. So if y'all bear with me while.
Oh, no problem at all. I tell you the truth, I love questions. I love them to death. I got tell you the truth, I've got a million questions on my own that I could just nonstop ask. So no problem at all.
All right, go ahead, Mike, and keep up with yours while I look for this question.
All right, yeah, well, we got the next two questions are both from the same chat user, so I'll just kind of sandwich them together, and then that will be it for the questions that I've found so far, and I'll go back in and check for some others. This is from Bigfoot Fan 1 in the chat, and his first question is, did you feel threatened for your life with Bigfoot in your presence?
Well, this is Torrey talking. No, not at all. How can I say this? I think it knew we were there, but it didn't feel threatened by us, so it wasn't going to show any kind of aggression or any kind of threat towards us. Rob's the one that actually got a glimpse of it, and I asked him, I said, did it look aggressive or like that? And he goes, no, because I don't think it didn't feel like we were a threat to it. He didn't feel like we were a threat to him. He was just probably curious on why we were there by ourselves out in the woods, in the middle of the woods by ourselves. So yeah, he was probably pretty observant of us. But no, I felt no threat at all. Here's Rob.
Hey, no, I didn't feel like I didn't feel threatened really at all. It was definitely have more questions now than I did before this happened. So yeah, I didn't feel like I felt like we were being followed, but I didn't feel like we were being stalked, like it was trying to stalk us, maybe so it could attack us at some point. I just felt like maybe the very most trying to spook us off down the trail. That was the most that I ever felt.
All right, Mike. Any other questions? I'm still looking for this. Actually, let me read this real quick. This is one message that we had gotten from a. Let's see. Their name, they go by Monkey Gone to Heaven. A new fan from England says, just discovered your show today. We'll be listening to the podcast from now on. You now have British listeners. So I wrote him back and, said thank you. But I'm still looking for the one. We had one that sent a message and wanted me, because they can never listen live because the time the show comes on live there, is a very odd hour. So as soon as I find that thing, I'm gonna ask the question, because they had a really good question. So I'm still looking for it. You got anything else, Mike?
I'm just scrolling down right now to the bottom of the chat again, just to make sure I didn't miss any, but I'm not seeing any others.
Okay.
Let me check. Oh, all right. Well, Gettysburg Yeti, I just sort of see at the bottom. He just put one in there. He's asking when and where did their sighting occur?
Something. Oh God, hold on. Rob knows the location better than I do.
It was called Loon Lake area, Loon Lake Ruby Meadows area, and this was. I'm trying to think. It was June or July. I think it was July 25th, I believe, of last year. So it hasn't quite been a year yet.
Okay, so it's been pretty recent then.
Yeah, fairly recent.
Okay.
Last summer. So.
All right. Yeah, it's not long at all.
All right.
I'm trying to. God, I can't believe I can't find that email.
We have a kind of a comment and a question from Gettysburg Yeti just now. He put it in the chat. He's saying that there's a newspaper article dated August 5th, 2004. That five teenagers were caught by police in and around the Loon Lake area. After several reports of Bigfoot were made, the teens had a gorilla suit with them and, were obviously perpetrating hoaxes. Reports started in April 2004, ended in August 2004. And I guess the question they're putting to the guests, do you think, you might have been the unintended victims of some type of hoax? I guess they're asking. Do you think it's possible it could have been some type of hoax?
You can take that one.
Absolutely not, because for one, when we were up there were two people at the camp at the Loon Lake, and we were way too far away from any civilization at all. We were too far up there for anybody. If it were a prank, that would really upset me big time, because if someone's got the gall and the time to go up there in the middle of the woods, beyond civilization, because we were pretty far up there, and pull something like this off, I'd have to give them a round of applause, because they sure had me spooked. So I don't know. There's no way it could have been a hoax. Like I said, we were the only ones up there, and we were miles away from campsites, and no one knew we were up there. No one knew we were up there at all. We didn't tell anybody about it. We didn't tell any campers at the campsite where we parked our car at, whether we were going up there. I don't see how it could have been a hoax or anybody up there just pulling a gag on us. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think too many people will go to that extreme to hoax. sounds like you guys had walked and gotten way far off trail as to where you should have been. So it sounds like you were pretty far away from any campsites from the sound of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were way the heck off our target.
Yeah. For sure. So yeah, that makes it a little bit harder for hoax, because there's probably not too many people walking along that area. I doubt you all probably didn't even pass anyone, did you?
Nope, not at all, except for that biker, which he was on his way out, and that was way earlier in the day when we were still on the trail.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, if that guy really wanted to pull a prank off like that, he would have to have been just a tad bit bigger and a tad bit taller. But if he really wanted to wait around until all odd hours of the night just to mess with our minds, I got to give him a round of applause. He did a heck of a job.
Just by we're believers.
Oh yeah, like Rob was saying, by chance that we're believers and we're gonna fall for that.
Yeah. Oh, well, shoot, we had a caller and then it disappeared. I was getting ready to get the caller and then it just came off the switchboard. Any other questions in the chat, Mike?
Yeah, I had, let's see, yeah, we had a question just a minute ago from Spin Dave. Spin Dave asks, did the wood knocks appear to come from a higher position, such as the hill, or was it coming from a position on the same level with you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
All right. He said the wood knocks that you heard, did the wood knocks appear to come from a higher position, like above you, like such as a hilltop, or did it sound like it was coming from a position on the same level with you?
I would have to say probably the same level. It was just off in the distance. It didn't sound like it was much higher in elevation than us. It didn't sound like it was below us. It just sounded like it was in the same level, but it was off, way off in the distance.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell probably with a distance like that. It could be coming from anywhere, I guess.
All I can say is I can guarantee and promise it wasn't a woodpecker becking on wood. That's one thing I can say. Right. And I don't know how many times I said this to Rob. If someone is that dumb and that crazy and has got really that not much time in their life to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the woods and pound on wood, then I'd like to know who that person would be.
Right. Now, here's a question for you guys, and I'm going to aim this at both of you, and Rob can start if he'd like. Rob, when you started into this research, would you call yourself a believer or a skeptic?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was kind of like Tori. I read several books. Obviously, Patterson Gimlin footage was out there and whatnot, so I'd seen that. I would say I started as a skeptic. Yeah, I'd say I started as a skeptic, open to, but, obviously very open-minded, looking at research, seeing what's out there, seeing what everybody has. Do they have hair samples, footprints, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So, yeah, here's your story.
Tori, I assume were you more the believer before you started, or?
Well, you want to know something? Like I said, I'm very open-minded about a lot of things, and I was never a skeptic about Bigfoot because there's so much out there that we've never seen, and yet people say a lot of things don't exist, and they're always finding creatures in other countries and everything like that. So, the minute I got into Bigfoot, I was always a believer because there's so much territory out there, and there's just no way that everybody, if someone's out there looking for it, they're going to be in the same place at the right time where, if they're looking for Bigfoot, because there's so much area to cover, it's not going to be standing still. So there's just too much area out there to cover, and, yeah, it's out there, and there's more than one, and there's more than 10, and there's families, and I could say this over and over again. All I can say is if I were out there looking for it, I would show the utmost respect for these creatures because that's exactly what they need is respect.
Right. We got our caller back. Let me get them on the line. Caller from the 631 area code. You are on the air.
Hey, Billy, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, okay. This is Mr. New York.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good. You got a question?
Yeah. I might have missed this because the chat room is kind of flying by, so I don't know if I actually got to hear them mention this, but do they actually research other areas other than Loon Lake?
Go ahead and answer either one of you, Rob or Tori.
Yeah, I know. You know something? I'll give that one to Rob. Here, he probably can answer that one better than I could.
You're addressing this question to us about research, correct?
Yeah, he pretty much wants to know, do y'all research any other areas other than Loon Lake?
Other than Loon Lake, I haven't researched a lot of other areas. Like I said, I had an interesting encounter of when I went out to Natchez, Washington, and we met Bob Gimlin and all that different outing in 2008. We did go out and we had some interesting stuff going on out there where I saw some red lights or whatever it was. This is bioluminescent. It was like glowing in the dark, and it was about level with my car, and it was just kind of flittering and fluttering. On the other side of my car, I was standing up with the door open, watching this thing just kind of dance around my car. And that was the other time I did some research out there, and we got somebody saw a figure in the trees observing us as well. And so far, those are the only two areas I researched so far.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Near Yakima, Washington.
All right.
Yeah, well, thanks for answering the question. And actually, I had one other one. I was wondering. I'm sure you probably read articles and check stuff out online, and I wanted to know if you ever thought of possibly checking up with any Native American tribes in the area to see what they might have to say about what goes on over there, or wherever else you might research.
No, I haven't, but I've talked a little bit to Jeff Meldrum on the phone. He's in eastern Idaho, over by Pocatello, and I think he's and they're because there is some Indian reservations over there in that area, and I have I think he's spoken a little bit about it, and in relation to that research that's going on in the eastern side of the state.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know if Tori has spoken with anybody about that. No?
No, I can't say I have, no. Rob's pretty much my only contact. I really don't talk to anybody else about it because the chances of me, mentioning the word Bigfoot to anybody and being laughed at is just not my cup of tea. So my only contact is Rob. I really don't talk to anybody else.
Right.
Cool. Well, thanks for answering my question. And hey, Mike, I guess I'll be checking you out soon. And Billy, you'll hear from me. I guess I'll be down in a couple of weeks.
All right.
And, looking forward to meeting you two, and I guess you can mute me out.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Cool.
All right. Take care, Mr. New York.
And Mike, any more questions in the chat?
I did not see any more. No.
Okay.
This is the last question from Spin Dave about the where the knocks appeared to be coming from.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've got a question here that was sent to me via email from Andy Drew. He said he couldn't get into the chat tonight. Sorry about that, buddy. Question for Rob and Torrey. He says, do both of you think equipment such as cameras, audio recorders, etc., is going to lead to finding a Sasquatch, or some little old lady from Pasadena, California is going to run one down in her little compact car?
Well, when it comes to the cameras, I honest to God, I think they're all worthless because, like I said, I think for anybody that believes in Bigfoot, tries to go out there and study them or find evidence of them or try to get a glimpse of them, they're underestimating these creatures because they're way far more intelligent than we could give them credit for. The cameras are pointless because they sense it, they know it, they smell you, they feel you're in the area. You're not there to count the stars in the sky. You're there for a reason. So if you're in the, if you know, they know when people come camping, they know they're coming, and if they know they're there for a reason, they're gonna keep away because they don't want to be noticed. That's my theory.
Right.
And I'm sorry about what'd you say about a woman in a car?
Yeah, he was saying basically what he's saying is, you know, what do we probably have a better chance of, you know, doing research and catching one on camera, or some little old lady hitting one in a car?
You want to know something? I've read many sightings, many sightings where, especially in Oregon and California and a lot of other places where people, you know, in the afternoon, midnight, early mornings, they've seen them run across the highways and everything like that. So I don't know about hitting them with a car, but your chances are slim to none. But when it comes to seeing a Bigfoot, my opinion is get out there, take the chance. If you see one, great, enjoy it. It'll make your heart pump faster than it ever pounded before. But just don't go out there and look for it because your chances are slim to none. You just gotta pick the right. You just gotta go out there and pray and hope. And if the right time comes, and if you're in the area, if you run into one, then enjoy it. But hitting it with a car, I don't know what to tell you. And cameras are, in my opinion, are, like I said, pointless because you're wasting too much time on trying to get this thing on in picture or on camera when yet they know they're way far ahead of you.
Yep. All right. Any more questions, Mike?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Rob brought up a good point though. Thermal cameras, you know, those night vision goggles, heat signatures. I think those are a possibility because you know, you get out there and you see something and they don't know that you're there. I think that's a good possibility. Those cameras with those binoculars or the cameras with the heat sinkers on them, heat signature. I think those are a possibility.
All right. Mike, any questions before I go to my line of questioning?
Yeah, we had two. We had one from Alley Cats in the chat, and we had one from Polypodium, but we'll go with Alley Cats. She was first.
Okay.
It says, question, how do you think it's possible for Bigfoot to move around and leave so little evidence, footprints, etc.?
You know, I would be more than happy to answer something like that. It's like I told you, you're underestimating their intelligence. They don't like to leave. They don't like to leave back a lot of evidence that they've been around or anything like that. Even in to tell you the truth, even in the snow, mud, or anything like that, they know how to move around without being noticed. Especially when it comes to footprints, and that's my opinion. They're intelligent. You know, you see bear, you see a lot of deer, a lot of elk, a lot of other wildlife in the snow, mud, you name it. But when it comes to Sasquatch, you're underestimating their intelligence. They're by far more intelligent than, in my opinion, than any other wildlife. I'll let Rob answer that one question too. But like I said, it's that you're underestimating them.
Yeah, it's I think it's definitely one of those things. Basically, you don't find it; it finds you, type of thing. I felt like when we happened upon it, it was, we were just there and whatever happened, because I wasn't moving, you know, and I'm more glad it wasn't a bear or a big cat.
Yeah.
Cross the path of a bear or a cat, more than likely they're not going to like it and you're going to wind up tangling with one or the other, so I was glad it just wasn't one of those two.
Right. more questions, Mike?
Yeah, we had Polypodium, and then just Spin Dave just put one in there. Polly's question says, and I don't know if the guests know this, but I guess she's asking if they do know, what does Dr. Meldrum think about the lights and odd things they have encountered?
Well, this is Torrey. I'll let Rob answer that one because I've actually never really contacted Jeff Meldrum, so I'll let Rob take that one.
I've talked to him on the phone a couple of times. He's over there at Idaho State University. I haven't spoken to him since we had this encounter last summer. I haven't spoken to him since then, and addressed any of these questions to him either. So I'm not sure what he thinks about the whole seeing lights and this and that, because none of this had ever happened to me before 2008 either. So I really don't. When it happened to me, I didn't really know what to think about it. It was one of those things I really couldn't even believe it. And initially, the thing that I thought was when I saw those red lights in Washington, I thought to myself, well, gosh, is that cars leaving camp? Because where my camp was, I'm camped up by myself. But this thing likes loners. So what I was hoping to do is draw it in. And, if I could get it to observe me at all, maybe I could get something to happen. Well, then I went down and talked to the director of that trip. His name was Kevin, and asked him if anybody had left camp, and he told me, no, nobody had left camp in at least 3 hours. Well, I was only up there by myself for maybe an hour or so. So, yeah, it's one of those things. For myself, I was pretty taken aback by it because it seems like everybody's experience is a little bit different. Some people just have a sighting of it crossing the road, and then it's never crosses their mind for maybe the rest of their life. Like, since this has happened to me, I pretty much think about it all the time now, and when I'm out there, I'm like so much more aware than I was before. It's like not even funny anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, it's definitely makes you more aware out there.
Right. All right. Any other questions, Mike?
Yeah. Let's see. Just PMing somebody here. We have one from Spin Dave. He says, question, do you think that Bigfoot is amused by our expeditions into his territory? Don't you think that he must see us as clumsy, noisy, smelly, and dangerous bipeds that come hunting in his neighborhood?
Well, tell you the truth, like I said, there are people that do that kind of stuff, like to go out there and check, look for evidence and all that stuff in their little outings. They're underestimating the Sasquatch because they're far more intelligent than they give them credit for, and they know they're there. They know there's a reason why they're there, and I don't know. I just think that it's a waste of time, going out there and enjoying yourself in the woods and not, taking so much, not trying to take so much effort on trying to find it. It will find, like Rob said, it will find you, or you'll just happen to run into it. That's the best thing to do. But going out there in these outings and looking for evidence or luring them in, it's a waste of time because they may not be interested and they just may stay far away.
All right. Anything else, Mike?
I'm looking. I thought I might have missed one. I'm going to scroll back up, but Spin Dave's was the last that I had definitely found. But I'm going to just take a scroll back up through. I mean, as you can imagine, it's been ripping tonight with all the people.
Oh, in here. I know. We had 67 or something like that in there at one
point. Yeah, it was at least 65. Yeah, so
yeah,
got a little crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I tell you, Rob or Torrey, either one of you, what do you think it's going to take to bring proof of the existence of this, or do you think that will ever happen?
that's a tough question to answer because, like you said, what are the chances on someone hitting one? If someone were to hit one, how are they going to get evidence of it? Are they going to put it on top of the car and take it to a hospital? I mean, how do you do something like that? Take a 500 or 600, 700 pound Sasquatch you just hit, and you're lucky to hit it and knock it down and actually kill it. And what are you going to do? Cinch a piece of hair off its body and take it to somebody and prove? I mean, that's not going to work. That's a tough question to answer. I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't even know how to answer that one. I honest to God, as long as Bigfoot's been around, I mean, way back to the Indians, as long as it's been around and people, so many sightings and like that, I don't think it will ever be resolved, in my opinion, because, like I said, their intelligence and people. I've read many sightings where people have, gone bear hunting and zoomed down with a scope and saw it was human and never shot it and everything like that. So that does no good at all because it's too human looking. So people aren't going to shoot it. And I wouldn't be surprised if people have actually shot at it, and if they've shot it and taken it down, realized what it is, and just left it there. Too scared to figure out what it is. It's not a bear; it's a Bigfoot, and they take off. It hasn't crossed my mind that people have done that too. But the possibility of Bigfoot ever being resolved, I honestly do. I just don't think it will. It's just always going to remain a mystery, and people will always see them. You want to take it? I'll let Rob answer that one too.
Well, I don't know if it'll be solved either, but as long as it's out there and it's roaming free in its territory, it's like one of those things that, maybe there's some hope that it'll remain a mystery forever.
Right. Any more questions, Mike? I'll go back to my line of questions.
Well, Hucklebuck was typing something in the chat. Not sure if it was a real question or not, but let me scroll back up here a second.
If I may add something, in my opinion, for all the skeptics out there that have to say, I've never seen anything out there, so I don't believe in it. Well, you want to know something? Just because you haven't seen it out there doesn't mean it's not out there. It's definitely out there, and there's, like I said, there's more than one, there's more than 10. They're all over the place, and I want to keep pointing on. The bottom line is their intelligence. They're far more intelligent than we could ever give them credit for. And to go out there and look for one is like going to the lotto machine and trying to win the lottery. Your chances are slim to none.
All right. You didn't find that question, Mike?
No, I'm scrolling back up.
All right, let me get my Rob or Torrey. What do you think is the most important tool in research? If you were to pick out something that we use, what do you think is the most important?
God, that's a tough one. Oh my God. Honest to God, you're gonna laugh at this. Being observant. Tell you the truth, that's the most important thing to have is being observant. Not cameras or no equipment. No equipment is gonna help. Being observant. That's the thing, and maybe you take a child out there because they like to observe children. So maybe I got a 6-year-old daughter, and maybe one of these days I'll take her camping, and maybe my luck will change, and one will be observing us. But I've heard that they like to observe. They like to observe children. But when it comes to equipment and anything high tech or anything like that, my opinion, and don't quote me, I could be wrong on this, but my opinion is nothing's going to do any good because their intelligence. They know they're being watched. They know you're there, and they know you're there for a reason. And they're going to notice. They're going to notice things. Putting a camera in the tree is not going to help because they know that they're being watched.
All right, Mike. Did I see a question come in?
One thing I might add on that note would be one thing we used out in Washington. It's called a bionic ear. And, man, you can hear things from so far away making noises out in the woods and whatnot.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that helped us when they said there's a figure up in the trees observing us. That was one thing we could hear. We could hear something rustling out in the woods before we could even see it on camera. So I do think that's one tool that could possibly be useful, assuming you can draw it in enough to hear it, because they are curious. They do want to know more about people, and they do want to know, more about what we do and things like that. One thing that might have drawn it in that night is the fact that we had a fire in there. I think they're kind of fascinated by fire because I don't think they know how to start them, for one. So that could have been one thing that may have drawn it in, too.
Right. All right. And, we got a caller. I didn't even see him there. Caller from the 609 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, good evening. This is Eric Squatcher from New Jersey.
Hey, Eric.
And I'm sorry I got into the episode late, but I was enjoying it, and I heard you talking about the possibility of actually hitting one with a vehicle. And it's really funny you guys should be talking about that, because I was with another researcher on Wednesday night, and we were returning after being out, sitting in the woods in total darkness and quiet for a few hours. And then on the way home, we actually had a creature run, full throttle right in front of my vehicle, and I got on my brakes and narrowly avoided hitting us. And my partner says to me, "What the heck was that?" And I said, "A deer." And she says, "No, it wasn't." And
you all were literally out doing research?
Oh yeah, I've been researching for about four years now, and
okay.
I've had some great experiences both here on the East Coast, also in British Columbia, Pennsylvania, and Missouri.
Now you said, I'm just curious, you said New Jersey. Were you near the Pine Barrens?
I do have that's my area, Pine Barrens in southern New Jersey, and had some very valid, evidence and a lot of great things to back up, to substantiate research that I've seen in other areas of North America. Right. And so I was in one of the areas where we've had some, responses in the past. And on the way home, we always kid around like, "Oh, please, Sass, run out in front of us, and here we're just driving down the road. This individual, full throttle, right across the road, and like looked right into my headlights, and I second guessed myself, and I said, "There's no way that could have been a deer." Even with the possibility, it was 2 feet over my hood, and it didn't have a tail, it didn't have thin legs, and you know how deers will, look into the headlights and they'll dart and bound across the road. This thing was charging. Like I said, it happened in 2 seconds, and I could see the fur and the hair, and it was a blondish, reddish colored, individual, and, the legs were much too thick, and it had this pumping action of the arms and the legs, which resembled a gorilla.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I actually drove down about 100 yards down the road. There was a small deer dead in the middle of the road. And then after passing that, I actually said, well, I have to turn around now and go back. We went back the other night on Saturday, and before darkness, I got to hike, and there's some power lines right where this occurred. And I went, down the power lines in the direction that it went, thinking maybe I could find some substantiating evidence, and then I walked up and down the road also to look for any kind of tracks. But I'll tell you, this thing was moving so quick, I bet it wasn't even touching the ground practically. And I know it sounds crazy because, you guys were just talking about this, but this literally just happened last Wednesday night.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you calling in and telling us about it. That's great.
I just wanted to share that with you guys and enjoying the show.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Billy.
Well, congratulations on your on what happened with you, and I wish something like that would happen with me because it would be memorable.
Yeah, but like I said, you do second guess what you saw, and I actually ran it by another researcher who had a similar experience a few years ago, and she said that's exactly what I saw. Oh, and just to mention, this actually has occurred within 10 miles of 2 recorded sightings with a similar colored creature in 2006. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
All right.
Billy?
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me.
Before the caller goes, Is he still there?
I'm here.
There's two people asked questions in chat of this caller that just called in, the guy from New Jersey.
All right, well, hold on the line. And, Mike, we got 30 seconds. Everybody just stay on the line. I just want to quickly say thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. Of course, join us next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have another episode, another great guest on the show with us. So thanks, everyone, because I know we're getting ready to go off live. We're going to continue into the archive, into the archive to listen to that. So thank you, everybody. And now, Mike, you can go ahead and ask the questions.
All right.
I'm still here.
Yeah, because this is for the actual caller from New Jersey. They want to know what type of evidence has the caller found in New Jersey. That's from Mr. New York.
Okay.
And Spin Dave wants to know, has he seen the Jersey Devil?
Well, that's funny. I've found in my time out here, I've actually found tracks of various sizes. Didn't cast any because the substrate in New Jersey is mostly pine needles and soft sand.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. But I have found 16-inch tracks, and then I found a pair of tracks near a creek, which was in the wetness, so I couldn't. I didn't have any casting material with me, but one was 14 inches, the other one was 8.5 inches. I have had wood knocking responses, and actually one day I was out there early in the morning checking some game cams, and I was actually having back and forth wood knocking going on. I would do 2 knocks, and I'd get a couple back. I mean, this was going on for 15, 20 minutes. I've been out with other individuals, and I have recordings of huffs and grunt noises that, the person I was with is a seasoned woodsman and bigger than I am. I mean, big guy, and he got spooked by what we heard. We actually heard a couple of whoops that night too. This was January 14th of this year. Sitting out in an area which actually had tracks cast in '06 by this other researcher I mentioned, and having spoken to an individual who has seen the track photos, told me that it's the best photograph of a track he's ever seen. Okay, so I mean, I'm pretty confident that the individual who I was dealing with is legitimate and has had, the experiences that she reported to me. But in New Jersey, I haven't had a visual up until this past Wednesday night. I have had, like I said, the sounds, the audio, but not the visuals up until now. But in British Columbia over the summer, I did have a actual visual of a creature also with auburn-colored hair, and I have a photograph of that one that came out blurry because, of course, it was my first encounter, and I zoomed in and pixelated the shot. But after taking some clear comparison photos, you can actually see the difference, where there's a face in the one picture and not in the other. So, I mean, my research backs up what I've heard shared by other people as well. And, I have to say that the tree manipulations that I found both on the East Coast and also on the West Coast and also in the Midwest, that, that's real supportive evidence that there are manipulations being made by, Sasquatch. For whatever reason you like to think they are. I like to think that they indicate, territory or directional markers. But that's the type of stuff that I'm finding, and
right.
It's encouraging.
Okay, great.
And we had one more question for the caller here from New Jersey. I'm sure this was for him because Chris Bennett asked what color were the eyes, because I know he
I thought I saw that, but I have to say it all happened, like I said, in really a split couple of seconds, and I'm just saying that it appeared as if the individual turned and looked right into my headlights, and it was all a blur, I have to say. I mean, the person I was with, she said to me it looked like he had a beard, right? But I could not tell you the eye color. But the skin coloration was a light colored, tannish pink. But again, I mean, I'm second guessing myself because I'm a good researcher and I don't just accept anything without real supportive evidence. And unfortunately, I I can't give you more than that, so I can't say anything about eye color, but the fur was definitely a reddish blonde appearance.
Right.
If I can ask a quick question, the guy from New Jersey, how tall do you estimate this creature was?
Well, as I mentioned, my hood of my vehicle, it was about 2 feet over my hood, so if I were to take a guess, I would say about 6.5, 7 feet. But it was on all fours. It was really, pumping with the arms and the legs right across the road in front of me. And if I didn't get on my brakes, I literally would have hit it, and would have been like a Harry and the Hendersons, like, oh my God, what do I do now?
Now, did it look funny when it was on all fours? Did it look kind of strange as it ran in front of it? Because I've heard people say that these things will get down on all fours. Whether this is true or not, but I've heard people claim that they'll get down on all fours to sort of maybe possibly an imitation of a bear or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You would think with the way the legs are constructed on these creatures, you would think that their rear end would be up quite a ways.
It was as if you could see, like I said, no tail. And you know how deer, the white tail of the deer is going to stick up straight when they're darting across a road. Mm-hmm. This thing just came out of nowhere, like full throttle. And it wasn't as it just had been eating on the side of the road, some grass, and then got spooked by the lights of the car and then darted across the road. This thing appeared to have just moved straight across at full speed. And as I mentioned, the arms and the legs were like in a pumping kind of motion, and I relate it to the videos I've seen of gorillas running. If you can picture, I've also looked at deer videos of deer running, and it didn't look anything like a deer running. It actually had that arm and leg motion, like a pumping kind of movement. So that's how I can best relay it to you. But it was, it was as if, and the person I was with said that, it definitely didn't have like a long snout type of appearance. So I would have to say that I've never seen a bear that could run that fast, first of all. And it didn't appear to be any kind of deer I've ever seen because, like I said, the legs were so muscular and thick. But, of course, that's not what my mind went to right away. So when she asked what the heck was that, I said deer, because that's what you normally expect to run out in front of your vehicle in this area.
Right.
But that's the best I can tell you, and I just wanted to share that because you guys were mentioning about the possibility of striking one with a vehicle, and I came really close to doing so, and I'm glad I didn't hit it. I wouldn't mind finding one that had expired on its own, but I don't personally wish to be responsible for doing it. But
right. Right. Yeah. I agree. All right, Mike, was that it?
We had 2 more questions that were from our original guests tonight that have been with us the whole night here. We had one from Spin Dave and one from Mr. New York. Spin Dave says, question, what could be done to help the Sasquatch to survive the expansion of the human race? And then Mr. New York also had a question. You want to take that one, and then I'll read the second one?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's for Tori.
Who was that question to? Was it me and Rob, or?
Yeah, Tori or Rob, whoever wants to take that one. What do you think can be done to help Sasquatch survive the expansion of the human race, in your opinion?
That's a tough one. Interesting question. I
don't think they need any help personally. I think they're doing just fine.
I don't think they need any help. I think they need, I don't think they need any help either. Because it's such a massive creature, and it seems to do well on its own, and it has for a long time. I don't know that it needs any help from us. I think
the other part of that, if I may, anytime man's gotten involved in trying to, preserve a species, I think we've done more harm in a lot of cases.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true too. We wind up doing more harm than we do good.
Right.
But, as far as I think they're concerned, as man encroaches on their territory, I think they just move a little further deeper into the woods. And
Right.
I was just talking to a researcher in British Columbia tonight, and he went back to an area that he used to research about 10 years ago. And he went over there and did a few calls, and almost immediately was responded with some real power slam knocks, one right after another. And that kind of reinforces our belief that, they do stay in their areas, in their territories, and that they're not nomadic, so to speak. I mean, they may forage, within a 50-mile, range or so to seek food sources, but, they are pretty set in staying in an area as long as it's safe for them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Yeah. As long as they have a food source, I think they'll stay within in a given area. As long as they don't have to make contact with people, I think that does it more good than anything else, is not having contact with a lot of people, because then you get people thinking they want to shoot this thing, they want to, whatever. They want a piece of it to bring back to somebody, to have proof that it exists, and that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, in fact, I was on the phone with Rob Kennedy from British Columbia this evening, and he's the one who held the private expedition I was on in July of this past summer.
Right.
And he's got some of the best territory out in the Pacific Northwest, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because Rob Kennedy's who I've got on next week.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's who I've got on next week.
That's funny. I think he had mentioned that he wanted me to talk with him. I don't know. Is that the 20? Oh no, it's 26th, right?
That'll be the
29th.
29th. That's correct.
Yeah. In fact, I think he mentioned having me join him or something. I forget.
Well, you're more than welcome to do that. So.
Cool. Well, I'd love to participate if I can.
All right. Any more in there, Mike, or is that pretty much it? Or
we had one more from Mr. New York,
okay.
And again, this was for Rob and Torrey. They mentioned earlier about the bionic ear.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, have they saved any recordings from their bionic ear?
No, we hadn't saved any. When I went on that outing from BFRO in 2008, those guys had a bionic ear, which we were able to hear what was going on from afar. And so whether those guys have recordings or not, I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right.
I could play some of my recordings when we go on, if you'd like.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. People love to hear the recording.
It's just hard because, you get the skeptics. Say, how do we know this is real?
Yeah.
But if you're out there, you know what you hear.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, Rob and Torrey, I appreciate y'all coming on the show.
Yeah.
We had plenty of questions and went over time a little, and good time. So we appreciate you guys coming on, and also our friend here from New Jersey. I appreciate you calling in too, because you brought us some interesting info on.
Thank you. My name's Eric Spinner, by the way.
Okay, Eric. All right, great.
Yeah, it was fun, Billy.
All right. Well, thanks, Torrey and Rob. You guys have a great one. And
well, thank you very much for letting us share our experience. And Eric from New Jersey, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. That was very interesting. And yeah, it's I like to talk to people who actually have things happen to them. It's pretty interesting, fascinating stuff.
Well, I enjoyed hearing you guys talk as well. So I hope to hear more from you in the future.
All right.
I hope so too.
All right.
All right. Well,
thanks, Billy.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Take care.
Y'all have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Mike, we're wrapping up another one.
Yep.
So next week we'll have Rob Kennedy on from up there in British Columbia. He has a lot of expeditions up there that he does. It's apparently a campground, if I'm not mistaken. We can find out next week, but he's got an area there, and apparently word is he's got a lot of success up that way. So
It'd be interesting to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, it's we'll see. I mean,
that's one guy I would love to hear from, because from what you're telling me, from what happened to him in British Columbia, that sounds like it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, British Columbia is all that area up there in Canada, I think, is some really nice prime territory. So it should be pretty cool.
Should be interesting.
Yes, it should. All right, well, thanks a lot, guys. And
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for being a great co-host, Mike, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks, Billy. That's good, Billy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
A legend passed down through the generations. A myth to some, reality to others. Thousands claim to have encountered this creature from all around the world. Footprints discovered, unidentifiable hairs collected, unusual sounds recorded. Something is out there. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Blog Talk Radio Network, interviewing the men and women researching this phenomenon, the latest news and information, research techniques, and cutting-edge technology. True terrifying encounters, as told by those who have experienced them. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Your host, Billy Willard of Sasquatch Watch of Virginia, brings you the most riveting discussions on the internet today. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Sasquatch Watch Radio. The truth is out there. Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Don't get stuck in needless traffic. Be one of the Northern Shenandoah Valley commuters who slash fuel and maintenance costs and get to work faster with RideSmart. Ride sharing is easy, and we do the matching based on your location and work hours. Worried about unexpected emergencies? Our Guaranteed Ride Home program provides registered commuters a ride home by taxi, rental car, bus, or train for free, up to 4 times a year. An easier commute starts at ridesmartva.org. Ridesmartva.org. Save money, save time, and save the planet. And less stress.
Hey, guess what? It's not as hard to start a fitness or weight loss program as you think. And I'm going to give you $100 in free home gym equipment to prove it. I'm Carl, the co-founder of Body. That's Body with an I, the health and fitness app with thousands of 5-star reviews, because our people get results. And I guarantee you'll lose 5 to 10 pounds in your first month, or you don't pay. Just sign up for a Body annual membership during our New Year's Kickstart event in the next 10 minutes, and I'll send you $100 worth of home fitness gear to help you succeed with classics like P90X, PiYo, and 21-Day Fix. In fact, we have over 120 workout programs for every level of fitness, even one for beginners only. Listen, if you don't succeed, you get your money back. But keep the $100 in equipment as my gift just for trying. You've got 10 minutes, so go to body.com to sign up now. Again, that's bodywithanI.com.